the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ms. Selcha? Here. Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Dr. Gomez?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Beret?
Here. Good morning, board members. Thank you very much for being here. The reason for an actual emergency is that we're racing against time, and we need to make a decision this morning regarding the situation at the football field. And every day is important because of the obligations that the athletic department has with their schedule. Before we get into it, I don't know if you had the opportunity to see why we're addressing this morning. Did you all see that picture of the football field? And that's the one criteria that is to be addressed this morning regarding what we have to do to rectify this. And if you haven't seen it, you take a look at it.
got flooded?
Did you see those pictures?
Yes.
And thanks to Bruce Wetton for that. Bruce was out there and got those pictures I guess it was at the height of the flooding. And it very graphically shows how the field is not drained properly, and then, of course, all of the different ramifications of that regarding the field. So with that, we're going to turn it over to, do we have anybody who wants to address the board?
No, sir.
Item number one is the public comments. We don't have any. Number two, discussion action on the approval of the Douglas High School football field turf replacement due to unforeseen conditions of turf that need to be addressed, and immediate action is necessary. So that's the reason why we're here this morning, because time is important. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, so I hope you all had an opportunity to read the background agenda, but both Mr. Soto and I have been very involved since the project got started. I mean, I'm visiting the field, Caesar's visiting the field, and we are getting updates probably on an everyday basis on the progress of the field. So what we have found is that once the original turf got removed, and the rain happened last weekend, the field flooded. And the whole entire field didn't flood, but it's more of the south end of the field. There are obvious drainage issues that we were not aware of, and there was no way that the company could have known until the turf got removed, and they obviously either rain came in or they were going to do some flood drainage test. They have since, when they informed me of this on Monday, and I called Cesar because he was out on that day, of different possibilities. And so the first suggestion at that point, not knowing and not doing more testing, was we may need to remove all the gravel and all the dirt of the entire field, take care of the drainage problem, find out where the issue is, and then redo the gravel and redo the whole area. Well, obviously that one is costly, and two, it would really put us back time frame wise. We wouldn't be ready for the start of football season. And so that was a preliminary recommendation as a possibility. So over the course of the week, they brought in a plumber, they did several drainage tests, and they have discovered that there are problems, but it's not necessary to remove everything from the whole entire field. And so in your background information, I've been very explicit about what they've done and where they seem to find the problem. In finishing up the last drainage test that they did, this is the recommendation that they're giving us now. So in order to take care of the problem and avoid any issues in the future with the drain, and in case it floods again, they are recommending that about 12 feet around there on the south end of the field, all of that gets removed. We're going to still reuse that same gravel and dirt that they're going to remove, and they're going to spread it towards the middle of the field to kind of raise it up a little bit. The new, there's a thing called a nailer that goes around, it's like the baseboard of your home, for example. So that baseboard is going to be replaced because the old one was totally disintegrated, it was rotten, it was made out of wood. So the new nailer is going to be in place, but we decided to wait on that until we knew what direction the board wanted to go in. Taking care of this issue, one is going to, as it explained here, we remove the drain stone from the outside edge of the field to the collector drain trench, move the old material to the middle of the field, raise it slightly, as well as not to have to pay to haul it off. That's important because that was going to be an added expense. Bring in new drain stone and finish the stone edge and over the collector. The new stone can be raised as well as to eliminate the trip hazard we currently have from the turf on the track. This will allow the field to horizontally drain, both on the surface as well as on the stone section, to clean the drain stone, then vertically down to the detention pond. We will maintain the 10-inch height of the crossbars. And again, this issue could have not been known prior to starting the project. The reason we had to come in such an urgent meeting is that obviously there is a cost involved in addition to what you already approved for the company to move forward. This total cost to remove the material, spread it to raise the field, eliminate the trip hazard, and bring it clean, drain stone, and regrade is going to be an additional $106,940. It can be added to the existing loan or financing plan that Mr. Soto worked out with. And so that will be worked out as soon as we have guidance and a decision from your end. I highly recommend that we take care of this now, as opposed to dealing with some issues later on in the next 10 years, in the next year or so, which will maybe end up costing more money later on the road.
Okay, before we get to comments and questions by the board, let's just finish up that presentation by having Mr. Soto give us the financial aspect of it and talk about, we had agreed to 8 and then 10 or whatever, and how much was going to be taken over the years. So let us know where we are there now and how that's going to affect that agreement and what you recommend.
Yeah, as you remember, we approve or we agree on having an 8-year financing term loan for the cost of the $844,000. Again, by adding the $106,940, we still have. It's going to bring between $18,000 and $20,000 more per year to the existing payment if we keep the 8-year loan, which that's my recommendation, because if you remember, we talk about that the field has a warranty of 8 years, and that way we want to keep the loan. That way we finish paying it and the warranty is over, kind of thing. It's something that we still can absorb, a payment of $18,000 in addition to what we're going to be paying every year. By adding this cost. And like Mr. Samaniego said, it's important to take care of it now, because again, if we're going to let this field flood at least once or twice a year, it's gonna get worse and worse every year. So it's something that we weren't planning on, of course, and that's why we're having this special board meeting for you guys to approve and actually get the field fixed and ready for the first football game. At the beginning, they were talking about 3 to 4 weeks delay if we were going to have to do this. And one of the reasons why we decided to have this board meeting today is because they're still saying that if we approve this now, they still can get us to the September 10 game ready, the field ready for the September 10 game. So I don't know if you have a specific question.
Appreciate that. And then for the record, Alma, I know that you've already probably done this, but he kept saying special meeting. It's not a special meeting. It's an emergency meeting.
Emergency meeting.
And we
correct.
want to make sure the record understands the reason for the emergency meeting and what the urgency actually was, which justifies it. Okay. Okay, members of the board, Mr. Ramos.
I just wanted to ask it, they're guaranteeing that what they're going to do is going to alleviate the problem that we have now?
Correct.
So to take care of it, we're not gonna have that problem anymore in the future.
Correct. Like Mrs. Samaniego said, they did a lot of testing on the different parts of the field, areas of the field, where there's different collectors of the drain, and the south part was the only one that wasn't working correctly.
And
And that's
who's
what
gonna oversee all that project that's going on?
The company, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
as far as the
Here
district?
for
Of the district,
Oh,
yeah.
well,
I'm the
yes.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
Because when we had that done,
Mm-hmm.
I presume nobody was seeing what was going on. They
Correct.
probably didn't know what was happening, so, but the thing is, we have to have somebody out there
Yeah.
making sure
Mm-hmm.
we won't get stuck again with something that's not proper.
Yeah, for sure, we need to make sure that once that is fixed, that we test it again, and make sure that it's draining properly, of course. So, yeah, I'm there every day.
Okay, thank you.
Members of the board, anybody else? Ms. Haltel?
And the test and the evaluations were done by their engineers? There's,
Their staff, I'm not sure if they're engineers, but they're qualified staff that's there.
okay.
And like we said, we brought a plumber to actually, with the camera, to look at the drainage and everything was clear on everything else but just that area. So, I mean, they're pretty confident that in saying that by doing this, the problem is going to be eliminated.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just glad that we are going to respond to these issues right away.
As we're-
And then we'll have it done for the future, because that's important. We don't want to keep running over this all the time. And get it done right the first time. Thank you.
Dr. Gomez?
No, I think I'm fine. I mean, it's just one of those things that you run into, you know, and it's just like at my house, I had the overflow of the condensation in my air conditioning and cut on my ceiling and everything, you know. So those are things that, you know, you don't expect, but
Correct.
they occur.
They happen, yeah.
Okay, members of the board, anybody else? Then I think it merits mentioning. The turf removed, and I know, I even had people ask me, but I know the administration had asked, that it's my understanding and that the turf that was removed belonged to the company because it was part of the contractual agreement that they would take and remove the turf. So it
Correct.
belonged to them. So for all the people that made requests, and there were many of people that were going to the field and even asked me, and I think especially the administration, if they could have rolls of it and parts of it. And the answer was that it belonged to the company, and they were the ones that were at liberty to give it away,
Yeah.
not the school district, and everybody should understand that. Because we even got, I think you got requests from Mexico and everybody
Yeah, there
else.
was some
Yeah, there
people
was one.
asking.
Yeah, and that, what they do is that they recycle that material, and the nailers that are gonna be put in are of that recycled turf material, and they will not disintegrate, it's not wood, so it's very nice sturdy material, so they reuse it for recycle.
And then the other thing is, Mr. Ortega has assured you that this delay, that he can work through it,
Yes, we
correct?
already met with him,
Yesterday.
yesterday, and we have a plan.
Okay, and then the last thing I want to comment about, that's going to be a lot of gravel. Do they plan to use somebody local to do that, or do you know?
I honestly don't know. That I don't know. I'm assuming and I'm hoping. Maddox Muslim.
Well,
Yeah, that's
I would,
the
and I
company.
feel, I know the board feels the same way. That's a lot of gravel. And we have a lot of local merchants that are hurting bad now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have wanted to suggest to you that you suggest to them that they go to Maddox and see if, I mean, not that we're trying to recommend, but he's the only show in
Yeah,
town. But
I'm hoping and assuming that the quote
Yeah.
that they gave us, it's from them. So
hopefully,
I don't know.
hopefully that is the case. Okay, members of the board, any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented by the administration with those exact numbers.
I move.
By Mr. Lindeman, is there a second?
Second,
By Dr. Gomez. Any discussion, anything the administration wants to? And commend you guys for being on top of that. And it's a good thing we got into that when we did, and we knew what we found out better now than later. Any further discussion? Roll call.
I just have a question.
Dr. Gomez.
I wonder if, of course, you never know. I wonder if that when that field would get very, very wet And at the south end, I wonder if that maybe kind of did something to disintegrate the old one. The way the water
infill,
maybe was
maybe.
collecting,
The
you know?
infill.
Who knows? Okay, sorry.
Okay, and Bruce, did you wanted,
We have a
you had
vote?
your hand up.
I was just gonna say, I did talk to Maddox last night, they have been in contact with Hellas and they are gonna be used. 'Cause Clint
Oh, really?
Maddox did confirm for me last night, on the record, they are gonna use Maddox and Sons.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, very good, and we're glad to hear that as a board, that they're going to use a local person. All right, we have a motion on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Dr. Gomez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes, and thank you very much, board members, for being here on such short notice. And administration, keep up the work you're doing, and thank you, and
We'll see you on Tuesday.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
By Mr. Lindemann.
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.